This is Liz from Creative Life of Liz, and I'm here to share my third quarter of 2025 in my reading journal, book bujo, whatever it's called. This is an Artist Loft dot grid, and today I'm going to be sharing July, August, and September spreads. If you haven't watched any of my previous sections, I do explain some things that are going on in my planner, how I organize things, all that good stuff. I'll try to remember to link one up above. If not, it'll be in the comments, the links at the end, whatever. So that you can see those other sections, but just know that those are posted already. One video for January, February, March, and then one video for April, May, and June. So moving into this third quarter, I am going to jump us ahead to July. So this is my July spread for the month. This is my cover spread. I have a complicated feelings when it comes to July spreads right now because I want them to be patriotic for 4th of July, but I also disagree with basically everything our federal government is doing right now. So it's definitely very complicated, but I do like how the spread turned out. It's very shiny and cute. And I'm just going to try to remain positive that we can get our country moving in a better direction again. I only had one priority read, so that was overall a pretty quick month. And then I set up a spread for the tarot readathon, just keeping track of my points and all of those kinds of things for all the items. My team ended up coming in third in literally everything, but overall it was a fun time for sure. It applied to basically every book during the month, so you'll just see that kind of popping up as we go along. As we move into these spreads that cover what I read during the month, I had a pretty good start to the month, lots of 4 stars, so that's always exciting for sure. If you are curious about how any of this setup works for any of these, that's in the first video that I cover for the first quarter. But definitely just kind of talking through some things that I read here in this first section. And then I have even more things that I read. Again, kind of a mix of good, not so good, and meh reads. I consider like a 3-star to me, like a meh read. I had a good time while I read it, but it's not going to be memorable or super impactful or anything like that. And then a few more reads down here at the end. And then I had an extra page. So I did a quick quote that kind of went with the time period there. And I think this one turned out really cute. I like the kind of bouncy lettering that I used in this kind of teal color here. And then we get to my reading stats, which look the same for every month. So I read 30 books, about 9,000 pages, between a 2 and a 5-star. Overall, average rating of 3.4, so pretty okay. About 2/3 new to me author, so that was exciting. And then about half own voices, so pretty good. That's about what I'm targeting there, so that was nice. And a pretty good mix of formats as well. Lots of new releases, not too surprising. By the time we get to July, I'm definitely reading new things, but a few older backlist books as well. Mix of genres, but definitely heavily on romance and mystery, which are for sure my 2 highest read genres of the year. And then definitely lean towards contemporary in the subgenre space. My favorite book of the month was Spinning by Tilly Walden. This was a kind of coming-of-age graphic novel dealing with understanding herself and her goals and things like that. And I thought that that was a really beautiful book, and I really liked the illustration style. I also liked Under Lock and Skeleton Key, A Murder Most French, Direct Descendant, and A Baffling Murder at the Midsummer Ball. Seems that the mysteries were kind of winning across the board here in July. In August, I went for this very like vertical layout because I had some vertical washi that I hardly ever get to use. So I was excited to get to do that. I had a couple of arcs coming up, so I did put that in as well. And then I just started in on the books. It sucks that my first book of the month was a DNF, but I did get to a 5-star pretty quickly as well. So that overall turned out okay. I did Literature Readathon, and I did manage to fulfill all the prompts somehow during the week. So I think that turned out pretty well. And then some more books that I read, a few other 4.5 and 5 stars. So again, very satisfying to see some of those coming through. And then the last couple of pages with a few more reads. I was so disappointed by With a Vengeance. 3 stars is fine. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. But I just had such high hopes that felt like that was going to be my Riley Sager book, if anyone ever would be. And I just thought it was okay. So I guess maybe Riley Sager's just not for me. And I DNF'd quite a few books during the month, so that was rough. Looking at my reading stats, I apparently had 4 DNFs, so that's quite a lot for the month. I read 26 books, 8,600 pages. Overall, pretty good reading. About 2/3, 60% new, and about 60% own voices. So overall pretty good on those stats as well. About 15 of them were 2025 books. So a lot of new releases for sure. Romance was the predominant genre, mostly contemporary things as I was reading. Not too surprising. I tend to think of August as being like very summer romance kind of month. My favorite read of August was Us. It's another graphic novel. I've had a lot of graphic novels in my top read of the month. I just really liked the color palette and how it was super helpful in conveying the story. I thought that was super interesting. And I thought that it was an informative, but also kind of very heartfelt and personal story, which I also really enjoyed. I also like Mexicid, Promise Me Sunshine, The House of My Mother, and The Dead Guy Next Door. Very different vibes across the board, but overall a really good reading month. We then move into the autumn readathon. This was a September, October, November readathon for fall related books. So a lot of the stuff that is read here does show up in October or November. But I did manage to finish it. So this is kind of how I tracked it, just on 2 pages to fulfill those 35 prompts. Here's my September setup, pretty minimalistic for me, honestly. I had a lot of arcs to read, so that was super helpful. Some of these were, in fact, most of these were October publications, but I knew ahead of time that October was going to be super busy, so I needed to get a lot of this stuff read before we hit October. So definitely super important that I did a lot of reading there. For Readathon Rebellion, I ended up participating, and this is my path that I took as I went through. So a very manageable number of reads. Because you had to read them in order, that made me a little nervous, but I think it turned out all right in the end, and I got through those as well. I also did Magical Readathon, the fall equinox, and I read a whole bunch of things here. I ended up going for The Alchemist, so a pretty needy list of prompts to get done, but I did succeed, and I am an alchemist, or my character's an alchemist for this year, so definitely very successful there. I then jumped into the things that I was reading for the month and all of the prompts that they were fulfilling. It was a busy reading month, but it started out meh and then got pretty good overall. Some more things that I was reading here, a couple 5 stars, which was super satisfying. And then a few more books over here as well. And then looking at my wrap up, it was 24 books, 7,300 pages, 2 DNFs, half and half on new and known, about 40% own voices. So a little lower than what I like, but not too bad overall. Quite a mixture of formats, mixture of publication years, although a lot of new releases. We can see I'm starting to move into fall because mystery starts being my predominant genre. 11 of the 24 books were mysteries, and a split across the subgenres, a lot of contemporary, both across mystery and fantasy, or romance, I mean, in this space. My favorite book of the month was The Enchanted Greenhouse. I do read things other than graphic novels, as you can see. It was just so heartwarming. I read it at the right time, right place. It was so cute. I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed Dinosaurs, Cat Plus Gamer Volume 3, Eating the Sun, and So Much for Love. So definitely got a lot of good books in there. So with that, I'm going to close this off for now at the end of that quarter. As always, please like and subscribe below if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. It helps me out. Let me know what you enjoyed seeing me read during this quarter, or your favorite books of the quarter. I would love to hear about those as well. Or if you have nothing that you want to leave me a teapot emoji for my September spreads, and also for that kind of fall vibes that we start to fall into by the end of this quarter that we just looked at. And then, as always, please follow on Instagram and Blue Sky at Creative Life of Liz. You can see in progress and finished spreads. I tag the shops when applicable. I also show you bits and pieces of my life, what I'm reading, all that good stuff. And until next time, bye.